guys, welcome back to my channel. Today in this video, it's actually going to be about reptiles, not birds. You're going to have to go. So I'm going to introduce you to some of my reptiles, actually all the reptiles that I own today in this video. So you're going to get to see snakes and geckos and bearded dragons, so be sure to subscribe to my channel so that you can see more animal videos. Before we get started with bringing out the reptiles in today's video, I would first like to thank the sponsor, Scentsy. Scentsy is a company that offers a lot of different lighting options for your home. They sent me the Scentsy's LED grow light for indoor plants. The biggest thing I struggle with when I'm caring for bioactive tanks is the light for the plants. It's really hard to find something that's good for them. The light has been absolutely amazing. Scentsy probably didn't know that I was a plant murderer when they sent me this light, but I nearly killed the plant in my snake's tank. Look at these amazing results from this plant. So you can see that this light is really amazing. Be sure to check out down below in the description for a link to buy the light. I only use this light for about 10 hours a day. It's a full spectrum light and it also lights up the reptile's tank really nice. So unlike some of the plant lights that make the tank look like it's like blue or red, this light is actually white light. It's really bright and it really makes the tank look pretty. One thing I also want to mention is don't forget to check the date on this video when you're watching it. Sometimes people watch some of my old videos or new videos and get confused why there are certain animals and not other animals. So with this video having been made, the reptile you're not going to see is my veiled chameleon. She passed away, I think, about a year ago now. She passed away from old age. And in the future, if I have another reptile that you're not seeing here, it's, I guess, because I don't have them yet. All right, now the first reptile that I want to introduce you guys to is my bearded dragon Regal. Now this is actually the reptile that I have had the longest. He is a super passive, super friendly guy. Let's see, you're being friendly today, right? I'm gonna say he's friendly and then his beard's gonna turn black, even though it never does. So he's a really, really cool pet. He's just so friendly, really docile, likes going out. Sometimes he'll let me know when he wants to come out of his tank and I'll let him run around on the floor in here, or sometimes I'll even take him outside if the weather's good, which we do live in the desert, so a lot of times it is really nice weather and I can take him out and let him get some sunshine. Bearded dragons are from Australia, from the desert, so they do like a really warm temperature in their tank. They like a basking temperature of about 95 to 100 degrees, so they are a lizard from a very hot climate. Their diet consists of insects as well as fresh leafy greens and vegetables. When they're babies, they eat more insects than plants. When they're adults, they eat more plants than insects. And Regal here is actually a terrible hunter. He's just one of those animals that wouldn't have survived in the wild. He nearly can't catch anything. So I actually have to hand feed him all his insects, which includes like crickets, dubia roaches, superworms, also hornworms. He likes those too. And then for his salads and stuff, he loves apples. That's like his favorite thing. But he only gets a few of those because that's kind of high in sugar and fruit's not something they should be eating a lot of. So he gets a lot of leafy greens and veggies, stuff like that. So bell peppers, let's see what else. Just, yeah, a lot of different stuff. I actually post about it on Instagram when I make their salads. You have to sit here with me just for a minute and then you can play, okay? Bearded dragons need special lighting and supplements to be able to thrive in captivity. So if you would like to learn more about bearded dragons, be sure to check out my playlist where you can find a lot more information about caring for these guys. So typically bearded dragons are a very passive reptile that makes a really good pet because they are so friendly. But every once in a while you get one that is not that way. And so the next one I'm introducing you to is Jar, and this is my husband's bearded dragon. So she's actually his pet and she's not, you know, too happy with me right now because she actually likes him better. You would think that reptiles wouldn't be able to make that bond with a person, but they do. She likes him better. She doesn't really like me. She is smaller than Regal, actually a lot smaller, but to me she always looks way healthier than Regal does. And I guess that's just genetics, breeding. I'm not really too sure, because I do care for both bearded dragons and I care for them the exact same way. And she always looks amazing, and he looks sometimes okay. But like I said, he can't hunt for food. She does hunt for food. She is really good about getting all her food. She's really good about always eating her salads and everything. She actually hates baths though. That's one of the differences between them, is that Regal loves his bath. He sits there and just relaxes. She is not happy about getting baths and will scratch and stuff. So she doesn't get them as often, and it's okay with her because she actually drinks from a bowl of water. Regal will not drink from a bowl of water, so he has to get his baths in order to stay hydrated. Next, we're going to be looking at two of my geckos that cannot be handled. And so the first one is a giant day gecko. This is my giant day gecko named Rango. And day geckos are really neat animals because they make amazing display animals. They cannot be handled, but they're beautiful to look at. And day geckos are actually out during the day, like their name suggests, unlike a lot of other geckos that are actually nocturnal. Giant day geckos are a tropical species from Madagascar, and so they do need a high humidity. They also require insects as well as a fruit formula. And this can be like a powder supplement that you get for them at my birds. You add water to it and then serve it to your geckos. The reason I'm not showing you my giant day gecko here is because you can actually not handle them. You can't grab them because if they get scared or pull away, they will go, and you can actually rip their skin off with your fingers because your fingers are not delicate or soft enough to actually be grabbing these animals because they are so delicate. Some giant day geckos actually do become tame and become friendly with their owner, and they can actually come up and get on their hand, but it's not an animal you want to actually be grabbing. Next is Nova. I believe Nova is a female. She's a Halmahara gecko. She was actually sold to me as a borax gecko, and I spent a couple of weeks wanting to buy Nova and just not sure about it because I was doing a lot of research on them, and I realized that there was a very, very small chance that she actually was a borax gecko and that she was probably a different species. And so the reason I finally decided to get her is, well, one, I was really wanted to get her, but the reason I decided to get her was because there are a couple of geckos that all require the same care. So even if I wasn't sure exactly which species she was still going to require the same care, such as humidity, food, things like that. So that was a good thing, is that I was able to figure out how to care for her, even though the place where I got her did have her under the wrong name. And so of course she was not a borax gecko. I was able to find out she was a Halmahara gecko. There was also the chance that she could have been like, I guess, a very young Galichi, but that seemed unlikely because of the price that she was being sold for. This gecko also requires a high humidity and also requires the fruit formula that I was talking about, as well as live insects. She's also a very smart and friendly species. In fact, she's learned how to beg for food from me. I can't handle her, but I would say I interact with her, and she's just a really smart, amazing animal. Next up is my Crested Gecko Merlin. Just absolutely beautiful Crested Gecko. Probably won't hold him the whole time I'm talking because you have to really pay attention to them. They're quick and just move around a lot. Okay, let's see how he's gonna do. So here, talking about my Crested Gecko Merlin, I do have to mention a very unfortunate mistake that I made. And this is kind of hard for me to talk about because it's really upsetting. I feel upset with myself when I lose one of my pets, whether through death or this situation where I actually lost one. It's very emotional. And so my Crested Gecko Calvin actually escaped. I was cleaning their tank. It's a biolactive tank, but I do have to wipe down the glass, and so I was going to have the tank open for a while, and I didn't want them to get scared of something and run out. So I put them into a carrier while I cleaned it, and I thought the lid was secure, and it was not secure. And so Calvin got out, and I was never able to find him. I never caught him. I looked everywhere. I moved all the furniture. I was tearing the room apart. It's not very likely that these guys can survive here in this climate, because it was actually, it was getting cold when I lost him. So that was really, really upsetting. And it honestly just makes me feel so bad about myself, because I guess I should have double checked it. I guess it's just kind of dumb that I thought that it was closed. I don't know, but that was a huge mistake, and I guess it's like something very small and dumb that you can do can just really have an impact and effect on your pets in terrible ways. And so I just wanted to mention that for people who are wondering where Calvin is. I did talk about it on Instagram, but yeah, and I'll put up the photo, the last photo I took of him, just this gorgeous photo. He looked so good. And so it's really, really upsetting that happened. Anyways, back to, I guess, talking about Merlin, since this is supposed to be about the reptiles I do have. Merlin is, as you can see, a very friendly, cute little crested gecko. I really like crested geckos. They're a New Caledonia species. They eat, the fruit formula as well as the insects, high humidity, all of that. Pretty similar care. And they're a really neat gecko for to have as a pet, because you can handle them. And I might decide to get another crested gecko in the future, just because I do like these guys so much. And I never wanted to get another one before, because I had two males housed together. And that was because Calvin was actually my first one, and someone gave him to me, and he was doing very, very poorly. He did so much better. He really thrived after I got him a companion. However, I wouldn't house Merlin with someone else again, just because now Merlin's older, and I think that it would be more difficult to try to, I guess, get them to bond. And so there's some debate of whether or not crested geckos are social. So, I think the best thing to do if you don't know too much about these animals is to keep them separated. For people who have more experience and want to try to work with younger crested geckos, I think socializing them is definitely something we can learn more about. It worked really well in my situation, for example. But now that Merlin's older, and he actually has been fine without a companion, I wouldn't put him together with someone else again. Calvin is the one that just really seemed to need the companionship. But each animal's different, so yeah, really, really frustrating, I guess, just for the last couple of months. And anything having to do with my crested geckos has, I don't know, just kind of made my mood go down having to think about that. And before I go get another reptile, one last thing I did want to say about crested geckos is that they do need live insects. That's a very, very important part of their diet. Studies have shown that without insects, they actually have stunted growth, they develop slower, and they're just not as healthy. So they do need live insects. I have heard people say that they don't, that it's a treat not to give it to them. That's not true. That's just people trying to make them seem like they are easier pets to care for. But the truth is that in order for them to thrive, you do need to provide them with live insects. So I just like to add that to all of the videos and stuff I do about crested geckos, because that is a myth that really does need to be talked about. Okay, so next up we have my Gargoyle Gecko, Maui, and I actually do handle him, but I'm not sure how confident I am in my ability to talk and also handle him. I am really not good at doing two things at the same time, so that's why I have him in here, just so that I can talk about him and not be freaked out that I'm going to that he's going to escape my hands while I'm trying to talk. So that's why. He is my Gargoyle Gecko that I got from Tiki's Gecko. His unboxing video will be linked down below in the description. He's also a New Caledonia Gecko. So same care requirements really, high humidity, fruit, insects, things like that. And fruit formula, I am talking about an actual like fruit formula that you buy for fruit eating geckos. It's not like you mix together some mangoes and blueberries and things like that and call it a day. I just want to clarify that. So he was actually brown when I got him, and his colors have just, it's been amazing watching him change colors. So David from Tiki's Geckos told me that he was going to be light like this, and I'm not sure I totally believed that because he was dark brown, but I was like, oh, whatever, you know, he's cute, okay. But he's actually changed colors a lot. He's a beautiful, beautiful gargoyle gecko, and he's grown so much. It's funny because like I got him almost a year ago now, and so I had always thought like, oh, he's growing so slow, it takes him a while, but he's grown so much, and I guess it's like you see him every day, so you don't really see it. And then once you see photos of, you know, him from a few months ago or something like that, and then you can really see how much he's grown. So probably to you guys, he looks a lot bigger, but to me, I was like, he's growing so slow because I see him every day. But yeah, he's a neat little guy. He's become easier to handle since he's gotten bigger. Why do you keep going? Oh, your tail is so strong. As a baby, he was more difficult to handle just because I think it's like you don't want to squish him and you want to hold on to him well. So that was difficult, but now I can handle him a lot better, so I like that. He's actually, I think, better about eating his fruit formula than his insects, but we're working on that, and he does eat Evia roaches, so that's super healthy for him. But yeah, hopefully next time I show him to you guys, he'll be even bigger. And that, by the way, was a travel cage. I have to mention that because then someone in the comments will be like, animal abuse, why do you keep them in that? I don't, it's a travel cage. Now, next up we have Nico. Nico is a leopard gecko, and leopard geckos are from the Middle East. They're not exactly a desert species though. They live in a dry, arid climate with a lot of rocky grass plains. So they are a species that stays on the ground, unlike the last couple of geckos that you saw. All of those actually climb up into trees and rocks and everything. These guys mostly stay on the ground. And leopard geckos are a really cool gecko for handling. They make really good pets. Their tail does fall off if they become scared, but it actually grows back, unlike the crested geckos and other species like that. So that's an interesting thing about them. And their tail actually stores a lot of their body fat, so it'll get really big when they've been eating a lot. I really like this species, but Nico here is not super great with handling, so that's why I have this here for him. He can step down. The interesting thing about him is that he actually runs up to the cage to greet me whenever I go to check on him, but he doesn't really like it when I take him out. And so I do hope to get another leopard gecko in the future that would be good for handling for the program that I do showing students animals, because I think it would be good to have one that was better for handling so that some of the kids would actually be able to get to hold him. With Nico, I don't let anybody else hold him because I wouldn't want him to get scared to lose his tail or to be dropped. He can be kind of wiggly. So I would like to hopefully get a super giant leopard gecko in the future. Those are very large, and some of them actually do very good with handling. But we'll just have to see how it goes. But yeah, leopard geckos are a really cool species. They come in a lot of different morphs with, you know, their colors and their patterns and all of that. You can just find some that are so bright, some that are all white. They just have so many different colors. Unlike the other geckos, these guys only eat insects. Now you're gonna get to meet some of my snakes. And so first you'll be meeting my smallest snake. This is Wyatt. He's a sand boa. So he is super tiny. I'm absolutely in love with this species right now. When I first decided to get a snake, I was really between ball pythons or sand boa, and I decided to go with ball pythons. And it's not a decision I regret, but I am really, really loving the sand boas now. And in the future, if I can have the time and ability for more snakes, I would actually like to get a couple more sand boas. Their care is fairly simple. They get fed about once a week as babies. They're not really a good display animal because they do spend all of their time buried in their substrate, but they're a super docile snake. And one of the things I really love about that is that when I show people snakes, I want them to learn that they're not a scary thing. And so with sand boas, they have this super adorable little face, and it really gets people. And because they're also so small, people are not as afraid of them. So that's one of the reasons I would like to have maybe, you know, 1 or 2 other sand boas. And just because they also come in different morphs and things that are so beautiful. Sand boas are from Africa, and like I said, they're not too difficult to care for, so they do make a really good pet snake for a lot of people. Now next here, you get to meet my favorite snake. I know you're not supposed to have favorites, so don't tell anybody. This is Onyx, and he is a blue-eyed Lucy. I got him for my birthday almost a year ago, so his unboxing video will be down below in the description. I got him from the snake maker, and I've also talked to other people that have been getting their snakes from the snake maker, and they all seem to be just super amazing, docile, healthy animals. So I highly recommend getting a snake from them. Onyx's head is a little dirty right now from a recent feeding, actually. So in case you're wondering why his head looks like that. Anyways, so these snakes are from Africa, and originally they are dark brown with almost black spotting. I guess it's kind of a way you could describe it. I'll insert a picture there. That's probably better than me trying to describe it. But through breeding, they've come up with thousands of different morphs now. Different colors and pattern combinations and all of that. It's really pretty amazing. But this is a blue-eyed Lucy, so he is just completely white with blue eyes. And one of the things that I love about Onyx is that he is so friendly and so passive that he's a great ambassador snake. And so when I'm showing snakes to the kids and all of that, he's amazing because he really has showed a lot of people to not be afraid of snakes. And just from seeing him and seeing how good he is with me handling him and everything, sometimes I've had people that wanted to scream at the beginning, but then by the end ask if they can hold him, and that's an amazing feeling, an amazing thing to watch. So he is a cool little guy that has really helped a lot of people through their fear of snakes. And I just took him out, so right now he's kind of curled and, you know, a little shy, seeing what's going on. But once I've had him out for a few minutes, he warms up just fine and really relaxes, and just, you can tell that he doesn't mean any harm. So I really like that about him. I really like teaching people about the snakes because they're beautiful animals and they're not something that you should be afraid of. Onyx is a baby. He hatched out in November, so he just turned a year in November. And I guess he's going to be kind of a small male because he hasn't really grown too much, but he's a really good eater. He actually eats 2 mice about every 10 to 14 days. My other snake, when he was this size, he would actually eat 1 mouse once a week, and instead of 2. Onyx eats 2, so his feedings are a little more spread out. He has been on mice, but I think we're going to start moving to rats now. I order all of my food, about 6 months worth of food, because I get rodents that have been humanely killed, and a supply of them for that long, because it has to be shipped, so you have to have a certain amount in order for them to send it frozen. So his food has now run out, and I'm going to make another order, and I think we're going to be moving him to a bigger size rodent. But he's been a really good eater, and that's good because with ball pythons they can sometimes be very picky and finicky. So it's really good when your snake is eating well. See, you can tell how relaxed he is now just within a few minutes of him having been out. One last thing before I bring out the last reptile you're going to get to see today is that when I was saying that the rodents are humanely killed, they're also humanely kept and bred. and in good living condition. So that's something that's important to me. So I like buying them online so that I know basically like where they're coming from. I don't feed live rodents to my snakes because that can actually be dangerous for your snake. So that's a whole other video, but yeah, let's get to our next reptile. And I apologize, I actually misspoke a minute ago. Not the last reptile you're gonna see, the last snake that you're going to see. So this is Jasper. He is a banana ball python. He's so warm right now, he was on his heating mat. And he is a full-grown male ball python. So he's just the same type of snake as Onyx, but he's an adult. And he's a different color morph. One of the things I always get about him is that he has mites. He does not. He has little black freckles throughout his body that is totally normal and not mites. They have actually grown with him. So they used to look really tiny and I guess they looked like mites, but they're kind of big now. They would be giant mites. When I am showing people the animals, they are usually afraid of the reptiles and particularly the snakes. And one of the things I do find funny about that is that they'll be so unwilling to touch the snake or to hold the snake, but they do want to hold like the chinchillas or other little animals like that, the rodents. And I will tell you, it is so much more likely that you're going to be bitten by one of my rodents than by one of my snakes. And it's just these other animals are more likely to actually bite you, and snakes are not. And it's funny to me sometimes when people are afraid of that. They're more afraid of being bitten by the snake. But it's just something that it's just something people have to learn. And so that's why I love teaching people about animals so much. And Jasper is a snake that has really calmed down over time. As a baby, he was difficult to handle. I'd take him out and he'd just sit in a ball, sit like a pretzel for an hour and not want to come out. Now you can usually see his face and his head. He's not as relaxed as Onyx, but he's just improved so much. Oh, whoa. Okay, here we go. This is the last reptile we're going to be looking at today. He's gotten so heavy. Granted, I can't really carry a lot, but still. This is, can we show your face to the camera? This is Hank, the sulcata tortoise. Let's see, he's gonna be 5 sometime in the spring. I don't know exactly when his birthday would be. But he doubles in size every year. This is a sulcata tortoise or African spurred tortoise from Africa. And they are the, let me see, I want to say 3rd largest species. And they are just a massive turtle. It's possible for him to get to be 200 pounds. He's a baby, like he's not near full grown, and 5 years for these guys, that's still a baby when they live possibly 100 years. Care guides are saying about 70, 75 years because that's, I guess, kind of the information we have right now. But it has been reported that these guys probably live over 100 years, so he's gonna outlive me. I'm gonna have to pass him on to somebody. That's a weird and scary thought when you have a pet, right? But he is, he's a difficult pet. I would say he was, his difficult level is definitely up there. This is not a pet I recommend for most people. I have a farm, and so I'm not worried about being able to take care of him, but for people that live in neighborhoods, definitely can't have this in an apartment. Having this in a neighborhood, he could tunnel under into your neighbor's house so easily. These guys dig massive tunnels that can be 30 feet long and 20 feet deep. It's just crazy. So yeah, they're also stubborn. Like, just, they're intelligent but so stubborn. So this is not something to take on lightly. They sell a lot of these guys as little babies. I got him, I guess he was pretty small when I got him. And they sell these tortoises really small, and they seem like they'll be cute and easy to care for, but they can be very difficult. And so I think a lot of people don't realize that they're not going to be able to keep something like this inside their house all the time. And so That's one thing I'm very grateful for, is that I can actually keep him outside. He's inside the house during winter, but I do plan on in the future, as he gets bigger and older, to somehow set up some sort of area where he's still outside but also going to be able to be kept warm enough. This species does not hibernate, so you can't expect them to just take care of themselves during cold weather. They can actually die when temperatures, go below 40. So yeah, interesting stuff about him. I actually have some more videos about him, and that will be linked down below in the description, as well as the other reptiles that you saw in this video. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed getting to see all of my reptiles. They're all so different, and I think that's really a cool part about it, is that they're all so amazing and different, and evolution is just has made all animals so beautiful and amazing in each in their own way. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed getting to see all of them, and let me know down below in the comments which one you guys like the best, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!